Hey, I'm Carter Hensley, and let me tell you, life was damn near perfect. My wife, Elise, and I were living the dream in our cozy house just outside a quiet Midwest town, surrounded by fields that glowed golden at sunset. We'd been married 8 years, together since our college days at a small liberal arts school in Wisconsin. Back then, Elise was this whirlwind of a girl, 5'6", with wavy auburn hair and hazel eyes that could stop you cold. She'd walk into a room, and it was like the air shifted. I'm no slouch myself, 6'1", lean from years of morning runs, sandy brown hair, and gray-blue eyes. People used to say we looked like we belonged on a postcard, all smiles and warm vibes. We've got 2 girls, Ivy and June, ages 6 and 4, who are the center of our universe. Elise works in the perfume industry, a senior developer for a boutique fragrance house that's been making waves. She's got this incredible nose for scents, blending notes like she's painting a masterpiece. Me? I'm in investments, managing portfolios for a firm that's got offices in a few states. I've climbed the ladder, built a solid client base, and we're comfortable, nice house, no debt, vacations to places like Napa or the Keys. Life was good, man. We'd sneak kisses in the kitchen while the girls giggled, plan date nights with wine and takeout, and yeah, we still had that spark. Elise would slip into bed, her skin smelling like jasmine and ambition, and I'd think, how'd I get this lucky? But then came the first ripple. Elise got a big project, a new luxury fragrance line launching in LA. She'd been working late, glued to her laptop, mixing samples in her home office. I'd bring her coffee, rub her shoulders, and she'd flash that tired but happy smile. Then she dropped the bombshell, a week-long business trip to meet with the LA team. "It's a big deal, Carter," she said, eyes lit up. "This could put my name on the map." I was all for it, her career's always been a point of pride. But when she said she wanted to drive Route 66 instead of flying, I balked. "Babe, it's 1,000 miles. Fly out, save the time." She shook her head, stubborn as ever. "I need the open road, some space to think. Plus, it's iconic. When do you get to drive Route 66? I pushed back, worried about her alone on that stretch, old highways, spotty cell service, you name it. But Elise was set, already mapping diners and quirky roadside stops. "I'll be fine," she said, kissing my cheek. "I'll call every night." I gave in, helped her pack her SUV with snacks, a playlist of 80s rock, and a new journal for her road trip vibes. The girls hugged her legs, and I pulled her close before she left, breathing in that familiar scent of hers, something floral, something her. As she drove off, waving, I had no clue that was the last time I'd feel like the ground was solid under my feet. The first couple of days, she kept her promise. She'd call at night, voice bubbly, telling me about neon signs in Missouri, a greasy spoon diner in Oklahoma, or some kitschy motel with a giant cowboy statue. I'd laugh, picturing her snapping photos like a tourist. The girls would grab the phone, shouting, "Mommy, did you see a cactus?" It felt normal, connected. But by day 3, something shifted. Her calls got shorter, her tone a little distant. "Just tired," she'd say when I asked if she was okay. I brushed it off, long drives, work stress, it made sense. Still, there was this itch in my gut, like when you know a storm's coming but the sky's still clear. Then came the missed call. Day 4, no check-in. I texted, "You good?" No reply. I called her hotel in Arizona, but the front desk said she hadn't checked in yet. My mind started spinning, car trouble, bad signal, maybe she just crashed early. I left a voicemail, kept it light, "Hey, babe, just checking in. Girls miss you. Call me." Nothing. By morning, still radio silence. That's when I noticed her Instagram hadn't updated either, no new diner pics, no desert sunsets. For someone who'd been posting every quirky sign, that was weird. I tried not to panic, telling myself she was just caught up with work. But that itch in my gut? It was screaming now. So, there I was, pacing our living room in our quiet Midwest house, phone in hand, checking it like a nervous tick. Elise hadn't called or texted since day 3 of her Route 66 trek, and I was starting to feel like a guy in one of those true crime shows, waiting for bad news. Ivy and June were sprawled on the couch, watching some cartoon about singing animals, oblivious to the knot tightening in my chest. I'd already called her hotel in Arizona twice, still no check-in. My mind was running wild, flat tire, sketchy rest stop, or worse. I kept telling myself, "Carter, chill, she's fine. She's just caught up. But that gut itch was now a full-on burn. Around noon, my phone finally buzzed. A text from Elise, "Hey, I'm okay. A car broke down outside a little town in Texas. At a motel now, crazy tired. Gonna crash and call you later. Love you." Relief hit me like a wave, and I let out a breath I didn't know I'd been holding. "Thank God," I muttered, texting back, "Glad you're safe, babe. Call when you're up. Love you too." I pictured her in some retro motel, neon sign flickering, probably annoyed but safe, curled up under a scratchy comforter. The girls caught my smile and pounced. "Is mommy okay?" June asked, her big eyes all worry. "Yeah, kiddo," I said, ruffling her hair. "Car's acting up, but she's fine. She'll call soon." They went back to their cartoon, and I felt the world settle a bit. But that relief didn't last. Something about her text felt off. Too short, maybe? Too vague? Elise was usually a storyteller, even in texts, details about the diner pie or the weird gas station clerk she'd met. This was just the car breaking down, tired, later. No mention of where in Texas, no quirky motel name, nothing. I tried to shake it off, chalking it up to exhaustion. Driving Route 66 solo is no joke, miles of empty road, spotty service. Maybe her battery was low, or she was just beat. Still, that burn in my gut wouldn't quit. I kept checking my phone, waiting for her call, but the afternoon dragged on, silent. Then, around 7 p.m., the house phone rang. Yeah, we still have one, mostly for the girls' grandparents or telemarketers we ignore. I picked up, expecting a robocall. Instead, a polite voice with a faint southern drawl said, "Good evening, this is the front desk at the Starlight Inn in Clinton, Oklahoma. I'm trying to reach Mr. Hensley regarding some items left by Elise Hensley and her companion." My stomach dropped like I'd missed a step on a staircase. This is Carter Hensley," I said, voice tight. "What items? And what companion?" The clerk hesitated, like she sensed she'd stepped into something. A scarf and a pair of sunglasses were left in the room. We also found a man's jacket. "Mrs. Hensley checked out yesterday with a gentleman, but we don't have his name. Would you like us to mail the items?" My head spun. Oklahoma? She was supposed to be in Texas. And a gentleman? I gripped the phone so hard my knuckles whitened. "Yeah, mail them," I said, rattling off our address, trying to keep my voice steady. "Can you describe the jacket?" The clerk fumbled a bit. "It's, dark leather, maybe black, with a red lining. Looks expensive." I thanked her, hung up, and stood there, staring at the wall. Elise doesn't own a leather jacket, and I sure as hell didn't pack one for her. My mind raced. Some guy she met? A coworker? A hitchhiker she picked up? I wanted to laugh it off as a mix-up, but the pieces weren't fitting. I checked her text again, rereading it like it held some hidden code. The car broke down. Texas, gonna crash. But she'd been in Oklahoma yesterday, with someone else, leaving stuff behind. Why lie about where she was? Why no call? I thought about her late nights lately, how she'd been glued to her phone, smiling at messages she didn't share. I'd figured it was work, her big project, the LA launch. But now, doubt crept in like a slow poison. I didn't want to jump to conclusions, but the word companion echoed in my head, loud and ugly. I put the girls to bed, reading them an extra story to keep my hands busy. Ivy asked, "When's mommy coming home?" I forced a smile. "A few more days, sweetie. She's got a big adventure." After they were out, I poured a bourbon and sat at the kitchen table, staring at my phone. I wanted to call Elise, demand answers, but something stopped me. If she was hiding something, confronting her now might make her double down. I needed proof, something solid. So, I opened my laptop and checked our shared credit card account. There it was, a charge from the Starlight Inn in Clinton, Oklahoma, 2 nights ago. And another from a gas station nearby, same day. No charges from Texas. My heart pounded. I scrolled through her Instagram again, still no new posts, which wasn't like her. Then I noticed she'd turned off her location sharing. When the hell did she do that? I leaned back, the bourbon burning my throat. Part of me wanted to believe there was an explanation, maybe a coworker gave her a ride, maybe the hotel got it wrong. But the other part, the louder one, was screaming that I was missing something big. I didn't sleep that night, just lay there, replaying every moment of the last few weeks, wondering when my perfect life started cracking. The next morning, I was running on fumes, the bourbon from last night still sour in my mouth. Ivy and June were up early, tearing through the kitchen for cereal, their laughter the only thing keeping me from spiraling. I was trying to act normal, pouring milk, joking about June's bedhead, but my mind was stuck on that call from the Starlight Inn. Elise Hensley and her companion. The word companion was like a splinter I couldn't dig out. Who the hell was this guy? Why was Elise lying about being in Texas? I kept my phone close, half expecting her to call, half dreading what I'd say if she did. Around 10 a.m., my phone lit up with a flood of notifications. Elise, finally. Not a call, but a barrage of texts, photos of Route 66 signs, a retro diner with a checkered floor, a sunset over a desert highway that looked like it belonged in a postcard. Her messages were bubbly, like the Elise I knew before this trip, found the best milkshake in Arizona. I wish you guys were here. This place is straight out of a movie. Another photo popped up, her smiling in front of a giant cactus, her auburn hair glowing in the light. Miss you and the girls. Long day, but I'm having a blast. Call you tonight. She went on about quirky gift shops, a roadside stand selling turquoise jewelry, and how she was soaking up the vibes of the open road. Not a single word about a broken-down car, a motel in Texas, or, most importantly, any companion. I stared at those texts, my thumb hovering over the reply button. Part of me wanted to fire back, who's the guy with the leather jacket? Why'd you lie about Texas? But I didn't. If she was hiding something, confronting her now would only tip her off, give her time to spin a story. Instead, I typed, looks amazing, babe. Girls are jealous of that milkshake. Call later? Love you. I hit send and felt like a liar myself. Love you? Sure, I still did, but it was tangled up with this gnawing suspicion, like a knot I couldn't untie. Her photos were perfect, too perfect, like she was trying to sell me on her adventure. No mention of car trouble, no hint of anyone else. It was all her, curated and polished, like one of her perfume campaigns. The day dragged on. I took the girls to the park, pushed them on the swings, and nodded along as they babbled about school and their favorite cartoons. But my head was elsewhere, replaying that hotel clerk's voice, picturing some guy in a leather jacket standing too close to my wife. By evening, I was a mess, angry, confused, and desperate for answers. After dinner, I settled the girls in front of the TV, where The Tonight Show starring Jimmy Fallon was playing. Some comedian was riffing about road trips, and I couldn't help but wince. Fallon's laugh filled the room, but all I could think about was Elise, out there on Route 66, with some mystery man. That's when I made a call I hadn't made in years. My brother, Gideon, is the governor of our state, yeah, that kind of big shot. He's older by 5 years, always been the overachiever, while I was the guy who just wanted a quiet life. We're not close, not like some siblings. He's all about power and connections, lives in a world of handshakes and photo ops. But he's family, and I knew he could help. I stepped onto the back porch, the cool night air hitting my face, and dialed his personal cell. He picked up on the second ring, his voice gruff but familiar. Carter? Is everything okay? It's late. Not really, I said, keeping my voice low so the girls wouldn't hear. I need a favor, Gideon. It's about Elise. I laid it out, the trip, the missed calls, the hotel in Oklahoma, the companion with the leather jacket. I didn't mention the affair part outright, I just said I was worried and needed to know where she was, who she was with. Gideon didn't hesitate. Give me her phone number and the car's plate number. I'll have someone discreet look into it. Off the books, no press. Are you sure you're okay? I swallowed hard. Not even close, but I'll manage. Thanks, man. He grunted, the closest he got to warmth. I'll get back to you tomorrow. Hang in there. I hung up, feeling a mix of relief and dread. Gideon's people could track her phone, maybe pull traffic cam footage or hotel records. If Elise was hiding something, I'd know soon. But the thought of what they might find made my stomach churn. I went back inside, sat with the girls, and tried to focus on Fallon's next guest, some singer I didn't know. June climbed into my lap, sleepy, and I held her tight, wishing I could freeze this moment before the truth came crashing in. Elise's texts kept flashing in my mind, her smile, her lies. She was out there, living this grand adventure, while I was here, piecing together a puzzle I didn't want to solve. I woke up to the sound of my phone buzzing on the kitchen counter, the girls still asleep upstairs. It was barely 7 a.m., and my heart was already racing. Gideon's name flashed on the screen, and I knew this wasn't a casual check-in. I stepped outside, the morning air crisp against my skin, and answered. "Carter," he said, his voice all business. "My guy came through." "Are you sitting down?" I wasn't, but I leaned against the porch railing, bracing myself. "Just tell me." He didn't sugarcoat it. "Elise is at a motel in Clinton, Oklahoma, same place that called you. The Blue Moon Lodge, checked in 2 nights ago. She's not alone. There's a guy with her, early 30s, named Tom Riddick. Musician, drifter type, known for hitchhiking across the country. My contact says he's got a reputation for cozying up to older women, married ones especially. They were seen at the motel bar, acting close. Like lovers, Carter. Laughing, touching, the whole deal. They've been sharing a room." My knees buckled, and I sank onto the porch steps. "You sure it's her?" I croaked, already knowing the answer. "Positive," Gideon said. "License plate matches, and they pulled her ID at check-in." "I'm sorry, man." I couldn't speak for a second, just stared at the dew-soaked grass. Tom Riddick. The name burned into my brain. A hitchhiker? Some scruffy musician? I pictured Elise, my Elise, with her auburn hair and hazel eyes, laughing with this guy, her hand on his arm, maybe more. My stomach twisted, and I thought I might puke right there. "Thanks, Gideon," I managed. "I owe you." He paused, softer now. "You don't owe me anything. Just, take care of yourself and the girls. I'll keep this quiet." I hung up, my hands shaking so bad I almost dropped the phone. I stumbled back inside, opened my laptop, and pulled up our joint credit card account again. There it was, staring me in the face, more charges from Clinton, Oklahoma. A $200 tab at a place called Rusty's Bar and Grill, another $150 at a boutique nearby, and a $400 cash withdrawal. $400? For what? I scrolled back, charges from a diner, a gas station, and, worst of all, another motel charge from the Blue Moon Lodge, dated yesterday. My blood ran cold. She was still there, with him, while I was here playing single dad, telling our girls their mom was just on a trip. Around noon, my phone rang. Elise. Her name on the screen felt like a punch. I took a deep breath, forcing my voice to stay calm. "Hey, babe," I said, like nothing was wrong. Her voice came through bright, almost too bright. "Hey, Carter. I made it to LA finally. The trip was wild, but I'm here. Meetings start tomorrow, so I'll probably be stuck for another 2 weeks. How are the girls?" I clenched my jaw, the lie hitting me like a slap. "LA?" She was still in Oklahoma, shacked up with some wannabe rock star. I wanted to scream, "Why are you lying? Who the hell is Tom Riddick?" But I didn't. "Not yet." "Girls are good," I said, my voice flat. "When are you coming home?" She hesitated, just a split second. "Like I said, 2 more weeks. It's a big project. Miss you guys." I could hear the smile in her voice, but it sounded forced, like she was reading a script. "Yeah, miss you too," I lied. "Call tomorrow?" "Definitely," she said, and hung up. I sat there, staring at the phone, the weight of it all crashing down. She wasn't in LA. She was in Oklahoma, with Tom Riddick, spending our money, living some fantasy while I was here, lying to our kids. The betrayal cut deeper than I thought possible, like a knife twisting in my chest. I thought about her texts, the photos, the way she'd played it off like everything was fine. It was all a performance, and I was the idiot in the audience. I didn't know who this woman was anymore, but she wasn't the Elise I'd married, the one who'd cried during our vows, who'd danced with me in our kitchen. That Elise was gone, replaced by someone who could lie to my face without blinking. I didn't tell her I knew about the hotel, the jacket, or Tom Riddick. Not yet. I needed to see her, look her in the eyes, and hear whatever story she'd try to sell me. But first, I had to keep it together for Ivy and June. They didn't deserve to see their dad fall apart. So, I made them lunch, played their favorite board game, and laughed when June insisted on winning by stacking all the pieces into a tower. But inside, I was breaking, piecing together a plan to confront the woman who'd just shattered my world. The next morning, I was a zombie, running on coffee and fury. Ivy and June were at school, and the house felt too quiet, like it was holding its breath. Gideon's call about Elise and Tom Riddick kept replaying in my head, her laughing, touching some drifter musician, sharing a motel room in Oklahoma while feeding me lies about LA. I couldn't sit still, so I decided to dig deeper. Elise always talked about her job like it was her lifeline, so I called her office, figuring I'd catch her boss, maybe get some context on this big project. I dialed the main line for her fragrance company, expecting to hear her assistant's chipper voice. Instead, I got transferred to her supervisor, Claire, a no-nonsense woman I'd met at a company dinner once. "Carter, hi," Claire said, her tone warm but cautious. "What's up?" I kept it casual, like I was just checking in. "Hey, just wondering how Elise's trip is going. She's been swamped with this LA project, right?" There was a long pause, the kind that makes your stomach sink. "Carter," she said slowly, "Elise quit 2 weeks ago. She said she needed time to find herself, start a new chapter." "I thought you knew." My mouth went dry, and I gripped the phone so hard I thought it might crack. "Quit?" I managed. "She didn't mention anything about LA?" Claire sighed. "No, nothing. She turned in her notice, said she was taking a break from work." "I'm sorry, I assumed she told you." I mumbled something about a mix-up, thanked her, and hung up. The room spun. Elise hadn't just lied about where she was, she'd lied about the whole damn trip. There was no LA project, no meetings, no reason for her to be on Route 66 except her own selfish whims. She'd quit her job, the one she loved, to find herself? With Tom Riddick, some hitchhiking musician who preyed on married women? My mind flashed to her texts, the photos, the fake enthusiasm. It was all a cover, a performance to keep me in the dark while she played house with this guy. I felt like I'd been sucker punched, the air knocked out of me. Our life, our home, our girls, our 8 years together, was it all a lie to her? I wanted to call her right then, scream, and demand answers. But something stopped me. If she was this far gone, spinning stories like a pro, confronting her now would just give her a chance to twist things further. I needed to be smart, not just angry. So, I kept my mouth shut and played along. When she called that evening, her voice all bright and fake, I leaned into the act. "Hey, babe," I said, forcing a smile into my words. "How's LA treating you?" She didn't miss a beat. "Oh, it's crazy busy. Meetings all day, but it's exciting." "How are the girls?" I fed her the usual, school stuff, June's obsession with glitter glue, while my blood boiled. She was still in Oklahoma, probably tangled up with Tom Riddick, and here she was, lying to my face like it was nothing. After we hung up, I sat at the kitchen table, staring at the wedding photo on the wall, us laughing, her in that white dress, me looking at her like she was my whole world. Now, it felt like a prop in someone else's story. I couldn't let this go on, not without protecting myself and the girls. So, I did something I never thought I'd do. I called a divorce lawyer. Found a guy named Paul Warwick, highly recommended, based a couple of towns over. I got his voicemail, thank God, because I wasn't ready to say it all out loud. Left a message, "This is Carter Hensley. My wife's. I think she's having an affair. I need to know my options. Call me back." It felt like signing away a piece of my soul, but I had to be ready. If Elise was willing to torch our marriage for some midlife crisis road trip, I wasn't going down without a fight. I didn't tell her I knew about the job, the motel, or Tom Riddick. I wanted to see how deep she'd dig this hole, how long she'd keep up the charade. Every time she called, I played the part, supportive husband, clueless but loving. "Can't wait to see you, babe," I'd say, while my gut screamed, "Who are you?" The credit card charges kept rolling in, more from Oklahoma, a fancy dinner, a jewelry store, another cash withdrawal. She was spending our money like it was her personal slush fund, probably buying gifts for her hitchhiker boyfriend. Each transaction was a knife twist, but I stayed quiet, waiting for her to slip up, to give me something solid to confront her with. Meanwhile, Paul called back, and we set a meeting for next week. "Don't do anything rash," he said. "Document everything, texts, charges, anything you've got." So, I started a file, saving screenshots, noting dates, building a case I hoped I'd never need. The girls kept me grounded. Ivy asked why Mommy wasn't calling as much, and I lied through my teeth, saying, "She's just super busy, sweetie." But inside, I was a wreck, shock turning to rage, rage to a deep, aching sadness. I'd loved Elise with everything I had, built a life I thought was unbreakable. Now, I was staring at the wreckage, wondering how I'd missed the signs. Has she been unhappy for months? Years? I didn't know, and that was the worst part, not knowing when I'd lost her. 3 weeks later, I was barely holding it together. The girls were at my parents' for the weekend, a small mercy, because I knew the storm was coming. Elise had called the day before, her voice all sunshine and lies, saying she was finally heading home from LA. I'd spent those weeks playing the part, doting husband, asking about her meetings, while my file of evidence grew thicker. Credit card charges, screenshots of her texts, Gideon's report about Tom Riddick, it was all there, a paper trail of betrayal. I'd met with Paul, the divorce lawyer, twice. He was calm, methodical, laying out my options: separation, divorce, custody battles. You've got a strong case for full custody if it comes to that, he said, pointing to the motel receipts and her job resignation. But think hard about what you want. I didn't know what I wanted. Part of me still loved her, but the other part couldn't unsee her with some drifter musician. When Elise pulled into the driveway, I was sitting on the couch, the house eerily quiet. The front door creaked open, and there she was, looking like she'd just stepped off a magazine cover, auburn hair loose, a new leather jacket slung over her shoulder, a faint tan from the road. She dropped her bag and flashed that smile, the one that used to melt me. "Carter, I'm home," she said, like she'd just been at the grocery store. Before I could say a word, she launched into her story, pacing the living room, words spilling out. "I quit my job," she said, eyes bright with this weird, manic energy. "I poured everything into that fragrance project, years of my life, and they didn't give a damn. No promotion, no recognition, just good job, Elise. I was done. I needed to find myself again, you know? So, I decided to chase something new. Music. I've always loved singing, you know that. I found a teacher already, this amazing guy who's helping me find my voice. I feel alive, Carter, happier than I've been in years." I stood there, arms crossed, letting her talk. Not a word about Tom Riddick, the motel, or the fact that she'd never been to LA. She was selling this story like it was her new perfume line, polished, practiced, full of holes. I waited until she paused, catching her breath, and then I laid it all out, my voice low and steady. "Elise, stop. I know the truth." Her face froze, that smile flickering like a bad light bulb. "What are you talking about?" she asked, voice sharp. I stepped closer, holding her gaze. "I know you didn't go to LA. You've been in Oklahoma, at the Blue Moon Lodge in Clinton, with Tom Riddick. A musician, likes to hitchhike, has a thing for married women. You've been acting like lovers, sharing a room, spending our money, $400 cash withdrawals, dinners, jewelry. I know you quit your job 2 weeks before you left, not for some big project, but to find yourself. So, don't stand there lying to my face." Her eyes went wide, then narrow, fury flashing across her face. "You've been spying on me," she snapped, stepping toward me like I was the one who'd done something wrong. "What, you don't trust me? You had someone track me down like I'm some criminal?" I laughed, bitter and cold. "Trust you? You lied about where you were, who you were with. You quit your job and didn't tell me, your husband. You're running around with some guy, and I'm supposed to just smile and nod? Who's Tom Riddick, Elise? Your music teacher?" Her face flushed, but she didn't back down. "Tom's just a friend," she said, voice shaking. "We met on the road. He's a musician, yeah, and he's been teaching me some stuff, but it's not what you think. Nothing happened, Carter. I swear. We just clicked, talked about music, life. He gets me. Gets you?" I shot back, my voice rising despite myself. "What the hell does that mean? You're sharing motel rooms, acting like lovers, and I'm supposed to believe you're just talking? The hotel is called Elise. You left a scarf, sunglasses, and his leather jacket. Explain that." She flinched, but doubled down, her voice sharp as a blade. "It's not an affair. I needed a break, okay? From the job, from being perfect mom all the time. Tom's a free spirit, he showed me there's more to life than schedules and carpools. You're blowing this out of proportion." I stared at her, the woman I thought I knew, and felt like I was looking at a stranger. "Blowing it out of proportion?" I said, my voice low again, dangerous. "You lied to me for weeks, spent our money on your little adventure, and now you're standing here acting like I'm the bad guy for noticing? You humiliated me, Elise. You humiliated our girls. She started to cry, but it didn't feel real, not like the tears we'd shared over late-night talks or when the girls were born. These were defensive, desperate. I didn't mean to hurt you, she said, voice breaking. I just needed something for me. You wouldn't understand. I shook my head, my heart heavy but resolute. You're right. I don't understand. And I don't know if I can trust you again. She reached for me, but I stepped back, the distance between us feeling like miles. I've got a lawyer, I said flatly. I'm not saying it's over, but I'm ready if it is. Her face crumpled, but I didn't soften. I couldn't. Not yet. Elise spent the next morning trying to patch things up, her voice soft and pleading, like she could talk her way out of the mess she'd made. We were in the kitchen, the girls still at my parents', which was a small blessing. She'd made coffee, set out my favorite mug, and was going full-on charm offensive. Carter, I messed up, she said, eyes wide, hands fidgeting with her necklace. I got lost in the moment, the freedom of the road. Tom was just there, you know? A friend who got what I was going through. I swear, it wasn't romantic. I love you. I want us to work. She stepped closer, reaching for my hand, but I pulled back, my jaw tight. Her words sounded rehearsed, like she'd practiced them in the mirror. I wanted to believe her, God help me, but the image of her with Tom Riddick, laughing, touching, sharing a motel room, was burned into my brain. Elise, I said, voice low, you don't get to just waltz back in and pretend this didn't happen. You lied for weeks. You quit your job, ran off with some guy, and now you expect me to just trust you? Her face fell, but she kept trying, tears welling up. I know I hurt you, but I'm here now. Let's go to therapy, talk it out. For the girls, for us. I was about to respond, maybe even consider it, when the doorbell rang, sharp and jarring. Elise froze, her eyes darting to the door like she knew something I didn't. My gut screamed trouble. I walked over, yanked the door open, and there he was, Tom Riddick, in the flesh. Early 30s, scruffy beard, wearing that damn leather jacket with the red lining, a duffel bag slung over his shoulder like he was moving in. He grinned, all teeth and swagger, like he'd just stepped off a stage. Yo, Carter, right? He said, voice dripping with arrogance. Heard a lot about you. He brushed past me into my house, dropping his bag on the floor like he owned the place. I stood there, stunned, as he sauntered into the living room, glancing around like he was appraising it. Nice setup, he said, winking at Elise, who looked like she'd seen a ghost. Babe, you didn't tell me it was this cozy. Babe? My blood boiled, my fists clenching so hard my nails bit into my palms. Elise stammered, Tom, what are you doing here? But he just laughed, flopping onto the couch, legs spread wide like he was some rock star. Thought I'd surprise you, darlin'. Figured you'd need your music teacher close by. He smirked at me, like he was daring me to react. I saw red. Before I knew it, I was across the room, my fist connecting with his jaw, a sickening crack echoing through the house. He stumbled back, clutching his face, but came at me, swinging wildly. We crashed into the coffee table, glass shattering, magazines flying. Elise screamed, Carter, stop, but I was gone, rage taking over. Tom got a hit in, catching my cheek, but I tackled him to the floor, landing another punch. You think you can just walk in here? I roared. This is my house. That's when I heard the girls, shit, they must have come home early with my mom. Ivy and June stood in the doorway, eyes wide, crying. Daddy, stop. Ivy wailed, clinging to June, who was sobbing. My heart sank, but Tom, sprawled on the floor, blood trickling from his lip, had the nerve to laugh. Face it, man, he said, spitting blood. Elise is mine now. You and the kids need to pack up and get out. I froze, his words like a knife to the chest. Elise rushed to the girls, kneeling to hug them, whispering, it's okay, but her voice was shaking. I stumbled back, my cheek throbbing, and grabbed my phone. You're done, I growled at Tom, dialing 911. This is Carter Hensley, I told the dispatcher, voice steady despite the chaos. There's an intruder in my house, attacked me after I confronted him. Send someone now. I gave the address, my eyes locked on Tom, who was still smirking like he'd won something. Elise was crying, holding the girls, who were shaking like leaves. My mom appeared behind them, her face pale. Carter, what's going on? She asked, but I waved her off, too furious to explain. Tom stood, wiping his mouth, and had the gall to keep talking. Elise, tell him. You said you were done with this life, ready for something real. Elise shook her head, tears streaming. Tom, shut up. I never said that. But her voice was weak, unconvincing, and it cut deeper than any punch. The girls' sobs filled the room, and I felt like a failure, couldn't protect them from this, couldn't keep their world intact. I pointed at Tom. You stay right there until the cops show up, or I swear I'll finish this. He raised his hands, mock surrender, but that smug grin never left his face. I turned to Elise, my voice cold. You let this happen. You brought this into our home. She just sobbed, holding the girls tighter, with no answer. The police rolled up to our house in under 10 minutes, lights flashing but sirens off, thank God, sparing the neighbors more of a show. Tom Riddick, still smirking like he was untouchable, made a dumb move when he saw the cops. He bolted for the back door, knocking over a lamp in his scramble. I shouted, he's running, and 2 officers took off after him. They caught him in the backyard, tripping over a garden hose like some low-rent action movie villain. He was cuffed and dragged back inside, his leather jacket scuffed, that cocky grin finally gone. Elise was still on the floor with Ivy and June, their faces buried in her arms, crying softly. My mom took the girls to the kitchen, whispering reassurances, while I gave the cops my statement, Tom's uninvited arrival, his taunts, the fight. Elise tried to chime in, voice shaky, saying it was a misunderstanding, but the officers weren't buying it. Turns out, Tom wasn't just a drifter musician. One of the cops ran his name, and his face lit up. This guy's wanted in 2 states for fraud, scamming women out of cash with fake music lessons and investments. I looked at Elise, her eyes wide with shock, and felt a grim satisfaction. Her music teacher was a con artist. The cops hauled Tom away, his protests fading as they stuffed him into the squad car. I turned to Elise, my voice ice cold. This is over. I'm filing for divorce. Her face crumpled, and she started sobbing, begging me to talk, to give her a chance. Carter, please, I didn't know about Tom. I thought he was just helping me. I swear I didn't mean this. But I was done listening. Her lies, her betrayal, bringing that creep into our home while our girls watched, it was too much. I told her to pack a bag and leave. Go to your parents, I said. We're done here. She tried to argue, but I walked away, focusing on Ivy and June, who needed me more than ever. My mom drove them to her place, promising to keep them distracted with cookies and movies. I called Paul Warwick, my lawyer, that night. File it, I told him. I want full custody of the girls, and I want it fast. Paul didn't miss a beat. With the police report, the fraud charges on Riddick, and your documentation of her lies and the credit card charges, we've got a solid case. Courts don't look kindly on this kind of reckless behavior. The divorce moved like lightning, faster than I expected. Elise's actions, especially endangering the girls by letting Tom into our home, tipped the scales. Within 2 months, the judge granted me full custody, with Elise getting supervised visits until she could demonstrate stability. She was a mess, calling me in a panic, saying she had no job, no plan, nowhere to go. Carter, I'm lost, she cried over the phone. I've got nothing without you and the girls. I felt a pang of pity, but it was drowned out by the memory of her lies, her betrayal. You made your choices, I said, and hung up. I couldn't stay in that house, not with the ghosts of that fight lingering. I found a rented apartment in a quiet town closer to my office, a cozy 2-bedroom with big windows and a view of rolling hills. The girls loved it, especially when I let them pick out new bedding, unicorns for June, stars for Ivy. I started looking at houses near the ocean, somewhere we could start fresh, maybe in a small coastal town where the girls could run on the beach. I wanted a place that didn't carry the weight of Elise's betrayal. To seal the deal, I surprised the girls with a puppy, a fluffy golden retriever mix we named Biscuit. Their squeals when he licked their faces were the first real joy I'd felt in months. Biscuit became our glue, tumbling around the apartment, chewing shoes, and giving us something to laugh about. Elise tried reaching out, sending texts about therapy, about fixing herself, but I kept my distance. The girls saw her every other weekend, supervised by her parents, and they'd come back quiet, unsure how to feel. It broke my heart, but I focused on keeping their world steady, school, playdates, bedtime stories. Work was my anchor, my clients stayed loyal, and I threw myself into it, building a nest egg for that ocean house. The news about Tom Riddick's arrest spread. Turned out he'd conned half a dozen women, promising music careers while draining their accounts. Elise swore she didn't give him money, but those $400 cash withdrawals told a different story. Looking back, I learned a hard lesson: love can blind you to the cracks in someone's soul. I thought Elise and I were unbreakable, but she was unraveling long before Tom showed up. I missed the signs: her late nights, her distance, her need for something more. If I could tell anyone going through this, it's this: trust your gut. That itch, that quiet doubt. It's trying to save you. Don't wait for the truth to slap you in the face like I did. Protect what matters: your kids, your heart, your peace. As for me, I'm rebuilding, one day at a time, with Ivy, June, and Biscuit by my side. The ocean's calling, and I'm ready for a new view.